it comes to navigating change, there is a wrong way to talk about it and a right way to talk about it as a leader. And there's a really good chance you're talking about it in a way that is actually sabotaging your team from feeling on board, invested, and aligned with any change happening. I'm Leah Garvin, and this is the new Manager Playbook. And I am on a mission to make managing your team the easiest part of your job. And one of the things that is so hard right now is navigating all the change going on. Right, between figuring out how to integrate AI and automations into your workflow, doing more with less, which essentially just means working extra hours with fewer people. There's talk of this 996 schedule, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. Like this is being kind of celebrated in Silicon Valley and in some kinds of industries all around the world. That's pretty scary. People are feeling more frustrated than ever. Employee engagement is at an all-time low, 21%. So 4 out of 5 people, they don't want to be there. This is a really hard situation. And as a leader, it feels like everything's changing. And so it is completely natural to get a little bit stuck in that, to feel like, well, I'm not going to act like everything's fine. This is a time that's really kind of bad right now. It's kind of crappy. I don't want to act like everything's fine or I'm happy with all of it. And so in trying to show up as an authentic leader, you might say, yeah, this is really terrible right now, or I don't know what's going on, or it might feel frustrating that the higher ups in the company keep changing priorities. If you're a business owner, it might be really frustrating that your investors or your board or your clients are getting on your nerves. And it might be easy to say like, oh God, like, hey, it's out of my hands. This stuff is happening. It's coming down on us. What are we going to do? And sometimes to show our team members that we're aligned with them. We know how they feel. We get it. We actually overly empathize with them. And we're in the change. There's been a reorg, and we as managers are empathizing with our team members and saying, gosh, what is leadership thinking? I hate this new direction. We were focused. We were so close to the finish line. How are they pulling the rug out from under us? And in that moment, your team members might feel like, God, thank God my manager really gets it, and they're frustrated with us, and they're not kind of living on a cloud saying everything's fine. But what happens when we share this frustration and we over-empathize and we commiserate with the frustration around change, all that does is creates more frustration and uncertainty. Because if you are not creating that solid foundation and showing people, hey, there is a bigger plan, there is something here that's moving in the right direction, if you're not doing that, then nobody's doing it, right? If you are not doing it, who is doing it? Your team is looking to you. If you're a business owner, there's literally nobody else up there, right? So you've got to be showing up this way. And if you're a middle manager and all of these things are out of your control, you've still got to be showing up this way because your team is relying on you in the very same way. So like we just covered, the wrong way to talk about change and uncertainty and priority shifts and reorgs, even when you are frustrated about them, even when they changed everything that you were excited about, even when your project got canceled, your team got restructured, your role has been changed, all of the work your team has been doing for the last 3 years, you were so close to the finish line, shipping this product, launching this thing, gets changed. And everybody's freaking out. Even if you get your backfills taken away, even if you can't hire, the new resources that you were promised, even in that situation, when you get sucked in to the spiral of complaining and you show your team like, gosh, like, yeah, what the hell is going on in this company? I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. When you show that, your team member has nobody telling them it's going to be okay. And that's detrimental. That's the thing that's fueling the disengagement. That's the thing that makes any reorg so much harder than it already is. That's what makes the priority shift feel like, well, how are we going to recover from this? And I don't just know this because of kind of reading about it. I know this because I've been there. Working in big tech for about a decade, hey, listen, that is the hotbed for reorgs, division changes, projects being canceled, things being spun up. I think, I've been on teams where once a month, every other month, the product direction was changing. And that is extremely disillusioning to a team. But the only way to survive that is when the managers, starting at the middle managers and all the way up, set the tone for the team that, hey, I know this is frustrating. I know things are changing. Hey, I know we lost like a lot of momentum here, and here's how we're moving forward. Right? Acknowledge and then moving forward. That's the right way to talk about it. Spoiler, that's your answer. That's the right way to talk about it. And I want to give some examples because, again, it's human nature to want to be like, get us sucked up in that spiral and be like, oh my God, what's happening? This is so unfair. Totally human nature. But that is the thing that tips the scale into like a frustration for a day in a reaction to actually feeling completely disillusioned, to losing your team completely. So if you want to recover, if you want to move forward, that's the messaging you've got to use. Empathize. I understand this is frustrating. I'm disappointed. I know we had put a lot of work in. Empathize, but don't commiserate. And here's what I'm excited about. Here's some of the potential I see in the shift. Here's one thing I'm hoping comes next. Okay? Plant a little seed of optimism. You did not make promises, everything's going to be fine. You did not say, oh, don't worry, nothing got canceled, whatever. You've shown people, hey, I get it, I feel you. And as your leader, I am creating a solid foundation of stability. Now, this is especially important when people are worried that their career progression's at stake. Because that's what I saw working in big tech more than anything was, yeah, okay, my project gets canceled or we shift directions. I'm okay with it, I guess, but not if my promotion's on the line. Not if I can't get to the next level now. Now, if I'm not going to get my bonus because it says I didn't ship something, I didn't deliver on my work. This is where this really comes in. Talking to your team about what is the plan for them. A project gets canceled. How are you going to leverage the learning and the work that's happened to not have a setback in their career, not have that promotion come at stake? What are you doing behind the scenes to help make sure that work is leveraged? How are you bringing visibility to the great work that was done even in the midst of a priority shift? Let's say you pivot completely on something to focus on, you learn that a competitor's doing something and you really got to catch up to them. And so you really pivot and everybody's role is changing. That's where we get ahead of it again. I know that this is a big shift. Here is what I'm doing to ensure every single one of you is clear on how your role fits into the new shift. And then you do it and you have the conversation. And if you don't know the answer yet, here's how I'm going to figure out how each of your roles fits into the new thing. So it's the empathize and then the sharing what you know or sharing a plan or how you're going to find out. That's the right way to do it. And it sounds simple, but it is so transformational because this is what your team members are looking for. They are looking for a solid foundation. They're looking for someone just to say, like, it's not the end of the world. I've got a plan for you. I'm looking out for you. This is what our team members are looking to us as managers to tell us. I got you. I don't have all the answers. I'm not going to be able to tell you everything today, but I've got you. Create safety. You create trust. You create, reduce some of that nervous system that's a firing and freaking out. I've got you. And when that is how we show up, even when we are scared, even when there are unknowns, and we do the things, okay, the trust isn't there if I say I've got you and then I never show up with any information. Then you do the things. You ask your higher ups, you do some digging, you map out all your team members on a whiteboard and you figure out, okay, how can I plug people in? You bring in a coach to help you figure it out. You bring in a consultant to look at, okay, where are the right places to put my team members? You talk to a peer, right? You do the work to actually get it done and figure out, okay, what is the plan? And then you go back to your team members and you communicate that. That goes so much further than that initial spiraling. Oh God, the boss sucks. The direction sucks. I can't believe our investors did this. I can't believe the VC did this. I can't believe, our clients are making us do this. This whole spiral thing of commiserating, all that does is get your team members to feel like, well, nobody's steering the ship. And then you start losing people. Your engagement goes from 21% to 0 and you are done. Okay. It's not good. I don't even know what happens at that point. So the wrong way, the complaining spiral, the commiserating, the right way, empathize and action planning. I know it's frustrating. I know we lost some steam. I know this. Here's what I'm doing to find out. Here's how you fit in the picture. Here's how we're going to leverage that work. And then you go and figure that out. And if you are stuck with that third piece, I guess, right? Empathizing is one, communicating something is two, and then 3 is actually figuring that out. If you're stuck on that third part, again, that's where it can be helpful to bring in some outside support or ask your own manager or check in with your HR team or whoever, to say, hey, I don't actually know how to figure out how to leverage some of this. Maybe there's another team in your company that went through a similar reorg that's figured this out and they have something mapped out. I know when I was at Google, there was a team member who had a whole workflow of how to represent work that had been shifted in a performance review. And he shared this broadly because there were a lot of shifts and changes. And by having a sense of, okay, here's how I talk about learnings and how to leverage work that maybe didn't move forward, but actually fuel discoveries in the next project, this allowed folks to get promoted even if a project shifted or got canceled. And so that's what I'm talking about is you don't have to figure it out alone, right? That was an internal team member who built this. Other folks consult with a coach. Other folks bring in a consultant or a management expert, like someone like myself, to kind of help them figure out, well, what is next? But that is the piece, right? That is the job of the manager, to not just be talking, but to figuring it out. But I will say this. For that example of the person that mapped out how to repurpose learnings in future projects or talk about them in a performance review, that didn't take months and years to figure out. So I think sometimes we're worried, like, well, I don't even have time to figure this out. We're supposed to move so fast. Like saying to someone, 1, I empathize with the situation. That's 10 seconds, right? Here's how I'm going to figure something out. 20 more seconds. And then taking an hour. We're talking about an hour, maybe a day if you have a big team and you got to really figure stuff out to figure it out. That is it. I'm not saying months. Okay. So literally none of the things I talk about in this show in its entirety take a long time. So please, please do not get in the spiral of, I don't even have time to figure this out, and therefore I'm not going to give my team member information, because then they are going to quit. Okay. That's it. Why would I be in a team where everything's falling off the rails, right? No, right? So take an hour. If you can't figure it out within an hour, then enlist some support. Ask a peer, ask a coach, ask your manager, right? That's how we do it. We just take action. Okay. There's a lot of change right now, a lot of things outside of our control. But what we can control is how we respond, right? Always can control that. And your team members, they are looking to see how you are going to respond. And when you act like, okay, yeah, I'm frustrated, but here's what we're doing. We're moving forward. They will mirror that. And that's how you all move forward. See you next time.